either younger than us or, passed and retired. So why not? I want to challenge myself. The best always looking to fight the best and challenge themselves, and why not, challenge.
Terence Crawford can't beat him, right? This is a money grab for Terence Crawford. It's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy.
But if you study Floyd closely like I have, you will notice that he never wastes any steps while he's in the ring.
During a live interview with Stephen A. Smith, Terence Crawford apparently agrees to Floyd Mayweather's offer of a fight. According to Crawford, boxing is about pushing boundaries and accepting challenges of any size. He is prepared to take the field once more and stresses that the greatest should battle the best. Crawford states calmly and confidently that taking on Mayweather is just one more opportunity for him to establish himself and go above and beyond.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, brilliant, masterful fight on Terence Crawford's part.
In his coverage of sports, Stephen A. Smith has always been vocal, and boxing is no exception. He acknowledges an accomplishment that is uncommon in contemporary boxing, as he commends Terence Crawford for becoming a champion and for different weight classes. Crawford's ability to dominate at for different weights puts him in a unique position in a time when fighters are sometimes hesitant to switch divisions due to the risks involved. Stephen emphasizes that Crawford is an all-time great pound-for-pound fighter because of his versatility and superiority. It demonstrates his technical proficiency, mental fortitude, and drive to keep pushing himself against more tougher opponents. In addition to his physical versatility,
Canelo Alvarez has been a great fighter his whole career. People like Erislandy Lara gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. People like Floyd Mayweather also gave you the blueprint on how to beat him. But Bud is more fierce, more fearsome, and more angrier, and more meaner than both of those guys. So if they showed you the blueprint, Bud gonna go out there and take that blueprint and do even more with it, which is what Bud did. So it was never a question in my mind whether Bud really was going to outbox me, just if he could take the punch. And right away he showed, bam, he could take the punch. So I knew from that point, if he just slow him down, which he did, he'd be okay. Then late in the fight, what other people still didn't see, late in the fight, Bud started hitting Canelo's body. One of those body shots, I think about the 7th or 8th round, hurt Canelo. I was like, whoa. Bud hit him in the right spot then, and he got Canelo's respect with that too. So Bud fought a very, very awesome fight, fought a beautiful fight, very tactical.
Very controlled.
Yes, it was a beautiful fight for boxing.
It was a beautiful fight. Bud got hit with some shots.
He did. He got
hit with some single shots going out. He's going out, and Canelo, if he has you trapped in the corner or along the ropes, it's typically 1 to 2 big shots. You know that if you've watched him.
Yep.
So you could tell Crawford, as he was going out, he knew the one shot was coming, and several times it landed. He even got hit with a 2-piece. I don't remember what round it was, uppercut right hand that Crawford took well. So when you started seeing him absorb the shots, if you're Team Crawford, you don't want him to take that shot. But if you started seeing that, now you know that, okay. And I think that's what gave Crawford the green light to stay there a little bit longer.
He smiled about it.
Yeah. And sometimes that smile can be a lie. And sometimes that smile can mean what I think it meant for Crawford, which is, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it was.
the legendary Roy Jones Jr., who has personal experience of what it takes to dominate a division, has praised Crawford's skill in the ring. He notes that Crawford showed that he could draw on the skill sets of both Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy to fighters who had caused Canelo Alvarez problems in different ways. During his bout with the latter, Jones claims that Crawford is unique because of his capacity to observe, research, and then implement successful tactics. It demonstrates that he is an astute student of the sport in addition to being a proficient fighter. Jones was most struck by Crawford's ability to modify these tactics into his own rhythm, rather than just mimic them, which increased their effectiveness in real-time scenarios. He differs from many fighters who struggle against elite opponents and stick to a single style because of his versatility.
For Terence Crawford, it's just a situation where Terence Crawford is trying to fill up his bank account opposed to actually his legacy. This is what was being said, right? This is what people perceived. Terence Crawford was just attempting to cash out.
There has been a lot of discussion about Crawford facing Floyd Mayweather, even in an exhibition bout. Critics contend that such a battle could damage Crawford's reputation. They think he would be pursuing financial gain rather than competitive glory, rather than building on his historic triumphs, like defeating Errol Spence and outclassing Canelo. This impression results from Mayweather's current career being more focused on lucrative demonstration fights than on significant legacy contests. Crawford has put into much effort to run the risk of being perceived as someone who values money over history, according to analysts. However, some contend that Crawford's legacy is already safe, and he would just be adding another exciting chapter to his life if he decided to fight Mayweather.
Floyd Mayweather is still greater than Terence Crawford. We need to really talk about this now. A lot of you guys are putting Crawford a bit too high. If you want to say Crawford could beat Floyd, I'm more open to that conversation, but when you're lining up the careers, I'm going to say Floyd every time. While they're both 5 division, Bud has become 3-time undisputed, but he's only fought 10 world champions to Floyd's 25 world champions. You can't take away the 5 division, 3-time undisputed. In terms of accolades, yeah, he probably gets the nod over Floyd. I say their accolades are about relative, considering Floyd Mayweather won Fighter of the Decade as well. But when you get to the resumes, Pacquiao, Oscar, Canelo, Cotto, Mosley, Castillo, Marquez, Zab, Gotti, Hatton, and Corley. It's probably way more people that this guy just didn't name. And then when you get to Bud's resume, not saying it's just bad, but the only names that's really worth mentioning is going to be Spence and Canelo. It's not a knock on Bud. Bud was not able to make those fights early on in his career. But I got to tell you guys what it is. Bud's resume just doesn't line up with Floyd's. Take their top 20 wins. Bud don't even got 20 wins to really sit here and name. Floyd got a good 20-something plus. Bud probably got about 10 wins that we could really sit here and name. Floyd's still greater than Bud in my opinion.
The discussion gets complicated when supporters contrast Mayweather and Crawford's careers. Floyd has victories on his resume against some of the biggest names in sports. Floyd's detractors, however, frequently draw attention to the timing of his triumphs. Pacquiao was hurt during their highly anticipated fight in 2015, and Canelo was still young and inexperienced when he met Mayweather. In addition, Floyd's refusal to agree to rematches, especially with Pacquiao, left many fans with unanswered questions. Crawford, on the other hand, has dominated opponents who were thought to be at their best when they faced him. This analogy feeds into the never-ending arguments about whether Mayweather's skill or strategic timing and matchmaking were more responsible for his ring prowess.
Strong mindset, they're really confident, they really believe in themselves, but you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
Fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work harder. If you think about losing, you're going to lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under. And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
Now, if you watch his fight in 2013 when he fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter, but by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like this guy is a piece of shit.
According to renowned boxing analyst Tony Jeff, Floyd Mayweather's biggest strength was not just his speed or defense, but also his mentality. Jeff said Floyd was truly formidable because he never wavered in his belief that he could defeat anyone. Mayweather's belief in his superior boxing intelligence always provided him the advantage, even in bouts where the odds appeared to be close. He stood out from other fighters who only use physical prowess because of his ability to analyze opponents, change course in an instant, and remain composed under duress. According to Jeffrey, Floyd retired with an impeccable record because of his psychological advantage and technical accuracy, which made him seem nearly unbeatable.
Strong mindset, they're really confident, they really believe in themselves, but you need more than that mindset. You need to have the full package of everything that I'm talking about, what Floyd has got.
Fighters should only want to get better. The more you win, the more you should work hard. If you think about losing, you're going to lose. All I ever thought about was winning. So that's all I know.
Floyd would visualize his success before he even stepped into the ring. There was no alternative to him but winning. And this mindset isn't just for boxing, it's for all walks of life. And I've actually done a full video talking about how I used this mindset of visualization to win my Olympic medal. And it was an absolute game changer. Now, Floyd used to use this mindset to ease the pressure that he put himself under. And he made himself think like, I'm not under any pressure right now, where he was under immense pressure.
Pressure either makes you or break you. Well, you see where I'm at, so it's obvious that I'm the type of athlete or I'm the type of entertainer that can deal with pressure. There's never no pressure.
Now, if you watch his fight in 2013 when he fought Canelo Alvarez, Canelo came in a young, strong, undefeated fighter. But by round 2, Floyd kind of had him figured out. He was reading Canelo's jab. He would slip outside and then come back with a clean counter punch, then move his feet and get out of the way. He basically had the full fight under control, and he was controlling the full rhythm of the fight. He was forcing Canelo to fight at his pace. And this is what he would do in all of his fights. He would get his opponent to do what he wanted them to do without their opponent even realizing it, which is what we call boxing IQ. Now, even though I'm not a fan of Floyd Mayweather personally, because of the time when I did meet him, what he said to me made me just feel like this guy is a piece of shit.
The boxing world is constantly in search of exciting bouts, and Terence Crawford versus David Benavidez has been one of the most discussed options lately. Benavidez contributes strength, stature, and unrelenting violence, characteristics that pose a special difficulty. Supporters believe that Crawford could be pushed beyond his comfort zone in this battle. Although nothing has been formally stated, the rumors are still circulating. In contrast, two exhibition spectacles that are more financially significant than athletically significant, this discussion demonstrates the desire of spectators for high-risk, legacy-defining bouts. For many boxing fans, Crawford versus Benavidez would be the battle of their dreams, since it would symbolize the struggle between skill and size, accuracy and aggression.
Making it a dream fight for many boxing followers.
Not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had one fight at 154 last August against Israel Madrimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford, and that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight. 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7" with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
There is no conclusive evidence to support the comparison between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. Both warriors put up strong fights against the greatest in their respective times and emerged victorious. Crawford's ability to move up in weight and still dominate is equally remarkable, even though Floyd's flawless record and defensive prowess made him stand out in his generation. The argument is made more difficult by the fact that their times and situations are too dissimilar to allow for a straightforward comparison. In the end, it might be hard to say which is better, but taken as a whole, they embody the pinnacle of boxing brilliance.
Oh my goodness, I said that was going to happen. If Crawford was to win, we're going to be seeing a lot of these debates on whether or not Floyd Mayweather or Terence Crawford is going to be better. Now this is going to be a debate for a long time. I'm talking about one of those debates like LeBron versus MJ, Messi versus Ronaldo. It's one of those. And the thing is, I can get behind it. Let me go ahead and say this. When it comes to resume, I do think we give Floyd Mayweather the edge. I mean, he beat a bunch of champions. He reigned for a long time. While Crawford, his resume is heavily criticized, and he's just not getting, his kind of respect for beating Errol Spence and Canelo Alvarez. But if we're talking strictly off of skills, this is where things get really tough to talk about. I think a fair assessment of this matchup would be Floyd Mayweather wins from 135 and 140, while Crawford wins from 147 to 154. And I say that because I feel like Floyd's style changed once he got to welterweight. He became a more defensive fighter, and he just wasn't as much focused on offense. And knowing this, I feel like Crawford would have had a much better chance of handling him. And we all know, Crawford was an absolute monster at welterweight. But hey man, like I said, this is going to be a debate for a very long time. I can't wait to hear all the talk about it, but I'm curious on your thoughts. Who do you think wins in the fight, Floyd or Terence Crawford? Let's talk about it, and follow me for more Boston Talk.
Symbolic significance of Crawford's victory over Canelo is aptly encapsulated in Greg Hackett's remarks. Hackett highlights how powerful and feared Canelo has been in the sport for over 10 years by referring to him as the best boxer in history. A significant change in power is indicated by Crawford's capacity to not just confront him, but also seize and destroy him. Crawford is now the new predator in the waterways, according to Hackett. The combatant at the top of the sport, the one that everyone else fears. His resume was not the only thing he gained from this victory. It changed the boxing scene by establishing Crawford as the man who overthrew the shark and turned into the hunter.
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, well, so I'm gonna fight. You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Man, like, ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up?
That's the shit. Got to make sense. Like you said, you beat a shark and then you beat a wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, there is, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me it don't make sense. But that's
really
what
a monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend.
Chill, man.
But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, get a line of suits. Get a line of suits, get your money, man. Go ahead and get the easy money, man. You ain't gotta sweat no more.
What's up,
Not saying you ain't gotta work, you ain't gotta sweat. He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times, fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's because when a guy see himself up here and then fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that.
Crawford's triumph versus Canelo Alvarez was a turning point in his career. That dispelled any remaining skepticism. Many detractors who questioned his opposition had already been silenced. By his victory over Errol Spence prior to this victory, Crawford shown his ability to fully dominate a contest from beginning to end against Spence. But what solidified his legacy was the destruction of Canelo, a fighter who was regarded as practically indestructible. With these wins, most analysts now concur that Crawford has put an end to the argument over whether he is one of the best fighters of all time. His unquestionable superiority is demonstrated by his ability to outperform champions in several divisions.
I think there was enough action, and I think Crawford displayed his skill enough, even to someone with not the most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay, I saw somebody like, they're squabbing. Like, there's a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't. James is talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, he's not going to. But Crawford didn't do that.